What's cracking, y'all? You are now watching Boo TV. Appreciate you for stopping in. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified, and let's get into the topic for today. What's good? Back with another one from the Larry Bird Vault, and back with another one from none other than currently one of the hottest, flaming, on fire YouTubers out right now, SKAP Attack. If you haven't checked out SKAP Attack's channel, go check it out. As always, put a link to the description of the source material of SKAP in the description of this video. And I saw SKAP had put out a Larry Bird video, and I was like, oh, baby. Let's see what SKAP and the SKAP Attack style and the SKAP Attack flavor, let's see what he has to say and how he portrays none other than Larry Legend himself. Shout out to the Bird Gang on the channel. And I had recently did a video, well, I never got a chance to put the video out. I did a video submitted by Dutch T on Kevin McHale on the sitcom Cheers, but YouTube blocked the video globally, which I don't understand why, considering it's a reaction video, and the source material wasn't even a reaction video and didn't have rights to the footage, and they didn't get blocked. Don't know why. But I'm going to try to find a way to fix the video in a way where it doesn't get blocked and try again at submitting it. So stand by on the Kevin McHale content. And let's get into SKAP Attack's Larry Bird special. For those of you that don't know, I think Larry Bird is the greatest small forward of all time. And I think Larry Bird is a top 3 player. Let's get into it.
Larry Bird is fast becoming one of the most divisive characters in basketball history, with some recognizing Bird as the greatest player of all time, while some have him dropping out of the top 10 altogether. This coming in recent years amid the rise of this current crop of NBA talent, coupled with mounting narratives of the alleged physical inferiority of other eras.
Oh, well, you know, he was being guarded by plumbers and firemen.
And Larry Bird presents a major dilemma, which is on the rise as of late across the board in all of the major sports. How do you weigh different eras? How can you cross-compare different players who might have existed decades apart from one another, played against varying levels of competition, and in starkly contrasting league-wide environments? How can you factor in elongated time of play and peak performance extension amid technical advancements in nutrition, supplementation, training philosophies, and implementation? Fundamentally, the answer is complex.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
But one element of comparison is easy. How dominant were you in your own time? How much did you excel against the competition within your own era? And how feared were you? And Larry Bird has one of the shorter careers of any all-time great in NBA history, as he was drafted with the number 6 overall pick in the 1978 draft by the Boston Celtics at the age of 22. But Bird opted to return to Indiana State for his senior year in college and forego entry into the NBA until the following 1979 season at the age of 23. And on November 15th, 1988, just 6 games into the season, Bird would be diagnosed with debilitating bone spurs on both Achilles that would require immediate season-ending surgery. And at the age of 32, Bird would miss that entire season and postseason, leaving many to speculate that Bird's career was over. And years later, Larry himself admitted he should have retired following the Achilles surgeries. However, the next season, at the age of 33, Bird returned and played 75 of a possible 82 games while averaging 24 points, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists per game in 39 minutes a night. Load management be damned. But the decline would set in sharply, and Bird's reluctance to miss games or sit out nights throughout his career, coupled with his intensely physical style of play, took its toll. In all, during his final 4 seasons, Bird missed 142 of a possible 328 games, and that was after missing only 27 total games over his first 9 years in the NBA. Due to the sharp fall-off amid a body that quickly failed him, Larry Bird played a total of only 897 regular season games and 164 playoff games throughout his entire NBA career. Compare that to the self-proclaimed GOAT, who many believe has surpassed Larry Legend in recent years as the greatest small forward in NBA history.
That one right there made me the greatest player of all time.
LeBron James. James has played to date in 1,703 combined regular season and playoff games, nearly 700 more total games than Larry Bird played, and LeBron is moving on to season number 21 and counting. It is conceivable that James will end up playing in twice the amount of games as Larry Bird. It's no wonder James and other all-time great players dwarf Bird's statistical accumulation with the relatively limited career Bird had in terms of time played. But in understanding the context of his career from a peak standpoint, and when factoring in the NBA built around him at the time, Bird produced arguably one of, if not the best primes ever. Coming into the league the same season as Earvin Magic Johnson in 1979, it would be Bird that won Rookie of the Year that season, while also being named to first-team All-NBA and making the NBA All-Star team in just his rookie season. And from that 1979-1980 season, Bird would be named first-team All-NBA for the first 9 seasons of his career, while the Celtics would make 8 conference finals over those 9 seasons. And this Eastern Conference was a far cry from that of the Chosen Ones era that he feasted on, which was one of the historically weakest conferences ever. But the Eastern Conference of the 1980s was the power conference. This decade saw one of the greatest teams in NBA history in that conference, the 1983 Moses Malone and Julius Erving-led Philadelphia 76ers. It had the Bad Boys Pistons, the Dominique Wilkins Atlanta Hawks, a perennial 50-win Milwaukee Bucks team, and Michael Jordan. There were no easy series in the Eastern Conference playoffs during the decade of the 1980s, yet Larry Bird found his way to 5 NBA Finals over the first 9 years of his career, and his reward for battling through the gauntlet of those stacked Eastern Conference playoff fields was meeting one of the greatest teams ever assembled in the NBA Finals from the Western Conference. The Celtics and Larry Bird had the misfortune of running up against the LA Lakers in 3 NBA Finals, led by arguably 2 top 5 players ever, Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, a team that also had top 50 all-time player and perennial all-star James Worthy as a third option. Yeah, Bird lost to that team twice in the NBA Finals for his only 2 finals losses. But he also beat that team in the NBA Finals for 1 of his 3 finals wins. Oh, and also beat the Hakeem Olajuwon Rockets in another NBA Finals. The accumulated number of elite, high-end opponents Bird faced throughout his 9-year run puts him in the running of having acquired some of the most difficult rings in league history. But this should come as no surprise, since Larry Bird was one of the most high-leverage winners the sport of basketball has ever seen, as the Celtics were just 32-50 and 29-53 the 2 seasons prior to Bird's arrival. But in just his first season in the NBA as a rookie, Bird elevated the Celtics from 29 wins to 61 and took Boston all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. And over the 9-year run until his dual Achilles surgery practically ended his career, the Celtics won an average of 61 games a year and never won fewer than 57. During that 9-year prime, beginning in his rookie season at the age of 23 and running until his double Achilles surgery at 32, Bird averaged 25 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals per game, while shooting 50% from the field, 38% from the three-point line, and 88% from the free throw stripe. During that 9-season run, Bird finished top 5 in MVP all 9 seasons, with an absurd 4 second-place finishes during that time and 3 first-place finishes. His 4 runner-ups were to Moses Malone twice, Julius Erving, and Michael Jordan. His 3 league MVPs were won consecutively over the span of 1984 to 1986, and done in a league that had Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Moses Malone, Julius Erving, Dominique Wilkins, Charles Barkley, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Michael Jordan. In the 1980s era, an era defined by arguably the greatest collection of high-end historical NBA talent, the case that Larry Bird was the greatest player of them all during that decade is an easy one to make. So while players that have played drastically longer than him might have stacked more stats than him, what if the question was how dominant were you in your own time? How much did you excel against the competition within your own era? And how feared were you as a player? Under those parameters of evaluation, it is clear that Larry Bird still stands on an island with very few guys who have ever played in any era.
Larry Legend, Larry Bird, one of the most humble basketball players you will ever meet in NBA history. Despite how great he was, he would always seem like he'd always put other greats before him. But he knew what he was. He knew what he was capable of. But he was one of the classiest people you'll ever meet. He was about hard work. He was about dedicating himself. He had a great sense of humor, but at the same time, he was a no-nonsense kind of guy when it came to getting the job done. Extremely honest and confident in the most critical of situations, and was always willing to step up to the plate and deliver however he thought was the best way possible. A true ultimate team player. Didn't feel the need to be the system, but to fit within the confines of the team and find his place and still put his foot down and exert his dominance without taking away from other players and what they can do and how they can contribute, but instead bring them along and elevate them as a unit. Could work efficiently without the ball in his hand. Quick decision making. Quick into his moves. No wasted movements. No holding the ball unnecessarily. No fishing for stats. Sacrificing his body to make the right play to ensure possession of the basketball. You could go on forever talking about the basketball player that Larry Bird was. And so many of these details and facts tend to get lost as history continues to be history and the present moves forward into the future. And it's important that we keep these stories alive and make sure that the video footage and the facts continue to be presented in the truth and in the light, because things often start to get skewed, manipulated, and blurry as time moves on. And this is coming from somebody that never watched Larry Bird play his career live. Hell, 1987. I was born in 87. Yeah, I was in kindergarten when Larry was on his way out the door. But I understand basketball. And I understand
the player that he was. And the eyes don't lie. And outside and on top of the lies, all the information and analytics and statistics back it up. But the eyes tell you everything you need to know to fully understand this kind of player. Truly. For the knock on Larry, that people so commonly use, you'll quickly find out that it doesn't matter. He's smarter than most. Wiser than most, able to anticipate things, doesn't need all the athleticism in the world to get the job done, knows how to move his body, knows how to fight for position, knows how to get inside your head, get the best of you while dominating. Man, averaged 10 rebounds for his career. I've seen plenty of video footage of him out there with guys seemingly stronger than him, bigger than him, out hustling all these guys. And he's the only green/white jersey in the paint, grabbing 3-4 rebounds with 3 or 4 different jerseys around him, putting it back up. Nope, got it back, put it back up, fighting, tussling, elbows, knees, physical. On top of that, he was a threat from everywhere on the court. Everywhere. And the guy was so elite and so confident and so willing to get into some jovial banter with other players that he'd tell you where he was going to be and he'd tell you how to stop him and he'll wait for you there and he'll still hit the shot in your eye. He would do things to create more challenges for himself, just because at times it would get boring. So he'd try to make it more challenging inside the game. It's incredible. And many people will say that Larry Bird's the greatest, if not one of the greatest trash talkers of all time. And I've heard plenty of his trash talk, and it's hilarious. And I didn't know Bird was that much of a trash talker until I started this channel and started paying more attention to Bird. I didn't know that part about him. Dude will absolutely smoke you. And yeah, definitely one of the greatest peaks we've ever seen. He didn't play an extremely long career, like the video said, like SKAP said. Injuries took him out, man. But he always played through injuries. There's a number of injuries he went through where today he'd be put in concussion protocol and would be out for weeks. But instead, take him into the locker room. If he even went into the locker room, come right back out and finish the game. I mean, gruesome looking injuries. And ever since he was out there trying to make a nice driveway for his family, for his mom, messed his back up, shoveling the gravel, I believe. And his back was never the same. And it continued to plague him throughout his career. And he still would go out there and put up an effort. And still go out there and be better than most any given night. High basketball IQ, man. Just seemingly knew always what play to make and the best play to make. Clutch beyond belief. It's a fantastic player. Underrated defensively. And in his era, there were a lot of marquee defensive players at his position. But Bird ranks in the top 100, and I'm being generous. He ranks in the top 100 all time in defensive ratings. It's not an absolute stat, but it gives you an idea of his impact on the floor defensively when he is on the floor with a lineup. Dude was the first NBA three-point contest winner. Not only the first, but he has the most consecutive wins by winning 3 in a row. Bird is the second player in NBA history to reach at least 20,000 points, 5,000 assists, 9,000 rebounds within 10 seasons. Wilt Chamberlain being the other guy. Led the NBA in three-point percentage for 6 seasons. In a time where the three-pointer wasn't weaponized like it is today. The only non-center to win 3 MVPs in a row. The other 2 are Russell and Wilt. Larry had an amazing peak, man, and I really wish we could have seen him play longer. And though Larry usually, and always, I'll say usually, 9 times out of 10, a man of his word, all things considered, given context, definitely a man of his word. But when it comes to certain things, things happen. I get it. But he said he didn't even, originally say he didn't want to play more than, 12, 13, 14 seasons, something like that. Something he said early in his career. He didn't want to play that much longer. But he could have played much longer if it wasn't for the back injuries on top of everything else that he was going through. I would have loved to see him play 16, 17, 18 years, somewhat relatively healthy. But sometimes, hey, it's just not in the cards for some players. It's always a wonderful what if story, right? What if, what if, what if? But hey, Larry Legend, folks. SKAP laid it out beautifully for you all, as he does. You know, I've seen a lot of greats, but I agree with SKAP. Larry stands on a pile, on a hill, on an island that not many people can stand on with him. And Larry Bird is absolutely one of the most divisive players of all time. So a lot of people, you'll see him out there at 1, and then, like he said, other people have him dropping out of the top 10 these days. And then some people have him somewhere in a happy medium. But hey, what you cannot deny Larry Bird is that you cannot deny him as being one of the greatest players of all time. And you cannot deny him of being a top player of all time at his position. Like I said, I got him number 1 at his position. I do not think LeBron James is better than Larry Bird. I do not. Sorry. Sorry. Not sorry, but he's absolutely right though. That conference, that Eastern Conference in the 80s was a monster. Was a monster. It was. A lot of talent, a lot of teams. It was stronger than the Western Conference back then. It was. I even heard Larry mention in an interview. I don't remember what interview it was, but he even mentioned he made sure, he said, listen, man, these are the teams I'm going through in the Eastern Conference. And he specifically said what the Lakers and Magic are going through doesn't compare. The battlefield leading up to the Coliseum doesn't compare to what we have to go through. And he's right. He wasn't wrong. Yeah, he's not wrong. But that's how I always felt about Kobe Bryant going through that Western Conference. It was a beast, man. And Kobe has more victories against 50 plus 1 teams, playoff victories, than anybody in the history of the league, man. That's a rough conference. 50 wins some years didn't guarantee you a playoff spot. So I understand what that Eastern Conference was like. It's tough, man. And I was about to get up and start, the editing process for all the videos for today. And then as I was getting up, I got a notification about a comment from a subscriber/viewer, Adam Davis 2760. So I just wanted to come back and share it because you know what? It adds to this video. Fun fact about Larry from Adam Davis 2760. From 1980 to 1989, Larry received 67% of the MVP votes. From 1981 to 1988, Larry never finished out of the top 2 in voting. He finished second, first, second, and second, winning back-to-back, 2-back MVPs in the middle, which means for about a decade, Larry was that guy in the league. Keep in mind, this is the same league with the Dream Team in it and MJ as well. Better. Yet, switch bodies, what kind of numbers Larry would have put up with athletic ability. When it comes down to the player, I take Bird all day. Best complete small forward ever. Spoken by the words of Adam Davis 2760. I could go on forever talking about Bird. Really could. And I don't even know how many Larry Bird videos I have. I have to be getting close. To 75. If not more by now. Or maybe I'm exaggerating. I'll have to go check. Shout out to the Bird Gang. Shout out to everybody. Appreciate you for stopping in. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified, and I will catch you on the next one. We out, baby.